right, and we're here. Any given Sunday, sports special. It's me, Jesus. I got Steve with me. I got
What's
Anthony
going
with
on?
me. We are ready to give you recaps of week 2. We're then ready to go ahead, give you picks for week 3. Some of us are happy. Some of us are sad. Some of us
We
trying to commit suicide. That's life. That's fantasy. Let's get to it, fellas. How was your week? How do we feel? You already know how I feel, so we don't need to get too much into that. But how do you two gentlemen feel?
Hey, we all have bad weeks. Some of us have good weeks. Anthony, congratulations. Had a monster week. There's some other teams out there who had monster weeks. So there's a bunch of teams down there, right? 8 teams. One of them's undefeated. One of them's 0-2, and everybody else is in the middle. Kind of what we expected. So it is what it is.
Class act, Steve. Let's get right to it. Let's recap the week 2 matchup. Steve, go ahead, my man. Where do you want to start off with this one?
Yeah, so we'll start off with the first game that we had that were both 0-1 teams playing each other. We had the Dream Killers, who were 0-1 at one point, going into the New York Powers, who were also 0-1. This was, it looks close on the scoreboard, but the Dream Killers, they came through, they put up 89 points, and the New York Powers put up 78 points. Jesus, I got to turn this to you, man. What happened?
I mean, Antonio Brown didn't show up, unfortunately. He had an off weekend. That's okay. That happens. Odell Beckham, 8 points. You realize Odell Beckham has yet to put up double digits points this season, has yet to score a touchdown this season. Eli Manning didn't show up. They picked up a good tight end in Kyle Rudolph. That was a good move to go ahead and pick him up just before when Rob was officially out. So they made a good move there. Adrian Peterson goes down. Looks like coach doesn't want to rule him out for this week. I'm personally hoping they let him sit for a couple weeks. But Eli Manning didn't score a touchdown against the Warriors. Played great. Eli Manning played amazing against the Warriors. I believe he was like 30 for 39. It's just in fantasy, it doesn't help much when you don't score touchdowns, right? So the Denver defense did their job. But on the other side, I mean, Lewis, his points were scattered, which is good, right? You look at it. D'Angelo Williams, 18 points. Delaney Walker, 14 points. His defense, 14 points. And his kicker, 15 points. That was huge. You look at... I'm still genuinely concerned about this team, the Dream Killers, but they just need to hold on, stay above water until Le'Veon Bell comes back. Because if D'Angelo's putting up these kind of numbers, imagine what Le'Veon Bell's going to do. So, props to Lewis. Lewis, he showed up. Powers didn't.
Anthony, what do you got to say about this matchup?
The sirens are going off. I think it's time to hit the panic button and see where we go from here. What you really worry about with the Powers is that, they're a loaded team, but let's look. Brady's not back to week 5. Gronk hurt. Foster hurt. Peterson hurt. Rudolph was a nice pickup. The strange thing is that you pick up Rudolph and then get your 9, and then you get rid of Bennett because he sucked last week, and then all of a sudden he decides to turn into Gronk Jr., which I just find to be adorable.
Yeah.
Eli wasn't a bad bet. It was just that you expected a little bit more, at least a touchdown or 2, and there were 2 of them that were obviously dropped, and that would have helped you a lot.
The Odell drop is the difference in the game there, right? At the end of the game, Odell drops that. But me being a Giants fan, I'll take that Odell drop any day because I didn't want Brees to get that ball back.
Yeah,
I did not want Brees to get the ball back. So, you know what? You have to pick one. I will always go for my home team first.
And if you get that, you're good to go. And you should panic a little bit, but not really. I think once you get all the guns in your lineup, I don't think you should have too much of a problem. The issue right now is just trying to make sure you get the right quarterback in the right week. Like I said, Tom's coming back soon. Everyone's going to be healthy soon enough. And like I said, these are the games that are outside of the division. And you need to make sure you finish at least first or second inside the division to make sure you get a good shot at it. But right now, you shouldn't worry too much. But you got to ring the bell a little bit. But the Dream Killers, awesome job. Their guy showed up. The Panthers D 14. I hate kickers, but Tucker gets 15. D'Angelo Williams still shows up. I mean, he just happened to start the right guys because absolutely nothing happened on his bench. He just had a solid week and won it out.
I mean, look, Anthony, let's be honest. I mean, you're being very nice. I get that.
But
the problem with the Powers is one thing, and it's something that we've always said every year, and Jesus will even confirm this. The problem has always been coaching. It continues to be the Achilles heel of the New York Powers. The fact that Melvin Gordon was not in the lineup, despite what happened on Sunday, who cares? Now Melvin Gordon will be, obviously, because of the injuries that have happened and whatnot. But to not start him over a Jeremy Langford, in my opinion, I would have went with Melvin Gordon given the lineup. I didn't understand that.
Anthony.
I understand people are gonna say, "Oh, that's
you ready for this? You ready for this, Anthony?
I would have understood that last week.
No, he's completely
Melvin
wrong. Though.
Gordon proved it.
He's completely wrong here. You want to know why he's completely wrong? Because last week on the show, Anthony, if you remember correctly, you and I said when we mentioned about Langford's matchup, matter of fact, Anthony was the one that specifically pointed out that he was going to have a huge week. Steve on that show co-signed that statement. Steve at no point in time said, Steve, go listen to the tape. Go listen to the tape. Yep, go listen to the tape. At no point in time did Steve say, Anthony, you're wrong. Langford should be on the bench. Melvin Gordon should be in the lineup. You did not say that. So for you to play Monday morning quarterback, I find very convenient.
I'm not playing Monday morning quarterback because I didn't sign off as saying I agree with the Langford. No. I mean, I get it. You guys made a compelling argument. And to me, it would have been a wash. I would have went with Melvin Gordon, but that's me. I mean, again,
but why didn't you say that last week beforehand? Last week, why'd you go with the flow and agree with us?
I didn't agree. I didn't disagree or agree. I agreed with the matchups of the other guys. Guys.
No. He specifically,
I never said Jeremy Langford is going to do great. Or said yes, I agree, Jeremy Langford. I've never been big on
Jeremy Langford as the difference maker, and you agreed with him. Go listen to the tape after this show. He specifically that was his difference maker.
I don't believe that, sir.
Gentlemen,
I do not believe
convenient. Anthony,
gentlemen, it don't matter. It does not matter. Melvin Gordon will be in there this week. It does not matter. Trust me. He will be in there this week.
All right. We talked enough about this game. Let's go to the next one. Next game we have Tampa's Empire. They were 1-0 going into Anthony's team, slightly punty vibe, who was 0-1. We all got this one right. This wasn't close. Slightly punty vibe, $1.34. Tampa's Empire, 82. I'll quickly say that my team did not show up. They were not ready. They were not prepared. We even took gambles to try to come close, which didn't work out anyways with the gambles. So this was from top to bottom, an old-fashioned A-whooping is what I like to call. And I will turn it over to you gentlemen now.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, I would love to lead off. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate it. It was very important that we needed to get a win this week. The matchups for Tampa's Empire just didn't work out well. I love Andrew Luck, but so far against Denver, nothing's happening. Des Bryant showed up, which is surprising. And I understand that the idea behind benching Demaryius Thomas wasn't healthy, but he scored. Eventually, one way or another, he has to find a way to get Will Fuller in his lineup. I don't understand from this point forward why you leave the Vikings defense out of there, because that's 2 straight back-to-back weeks. They've been showing up and they've been scoring. But for my team, great start by Matt Forte with his 28. The Cardinals had 23. Palmer and Johnson, that's just a dynamic duo. Stewart was in, but he got hurt, and I was kind of flip-flopping back and forth between him and Murray. But
it didn't matter.
At the points I was putting up, it didn't make a difference.
It didn't matter. And I'm going to speak to something real quick, man. The whole purpose of the Ravens D is I really thought the Ravens would do a much better showing against Cleveland. And the fact that they went in a 20-0 hole and still got me 9 points at the end of the day, it's okay, but I'm still disappointed because had they not done that, they would have been a 20-point defense. So I was screaming at my TV just like just like any other fantasy person would out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm unlike my counterpart. I don't play Monday morning quarterback. I don't wait till after the fact to make statements. I actually understand why you would have gone with Baltimore prior to the game, because any team against Green Bay, whether they've owned them in the past, whether they haven't owned Rodgers in the past, you never like a matchup, a defense going against Green Bay. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to second guess yourself about it. Even if you would have played them, you still lose the game. So there's nothing to beat yourself up about that. I think almost any other GM would have probably done that. So there's nothing wrong there. At the end of the day, it's just 30 points from his quarterback, 28 from his flex, 23 from his defense, 17 from his number one receiver. He just put up a
Solid
lot of
numbers.
points. Yeah,
That's what you
put up a
want to
lot of
see.
points. And you had, as we said, horrible matchups. And one thing I'm getting very concerned about is the same guy we talk about every single year is Eddie Lacy. He's that one guy that I'm coming to the point where I will never draft this guy because you just never know when that big game is going to be from him. And he brings your team down because you just can't bench a player of his caliber. It's so difficult to do. Let's go to the next game.
All right, guys. The next game we have is Dom's team going into Man Up Gurley. These guys were right there neck and neck. This was a close game. It wasn't the game of the week, but it was a close game. Very close. It was Man Up Gurley pulled it off. Pops 72, and Tom loses by 1 point, 71 points. Gentlemen, what do you guys have to say about this game?
None of them deserved this game, but somebody had to win. Somebody had to win this game. I wish I would have played them. But no, seriously. Pop so far is just he's what he's now done. I don't know if you guys realize this. What Pops now has done is Pops has built up such a formidable bench. He has players like Stephon Diggs, Spencer Ware, Travis Benjamin, Alfred Morris. But his lineup, he keeps picking the wrong guys now, which is just unlike Pops. It's tough, though, because Ezekiel Elliott now is going to be sharing time because he's fumbled the ball so much. You know Alfred Morris is now going to see more of the field, which only hurts Pops because now you never know which one to play. Allen Robinson in that Jacksonville offense, what is going on there? I have no idea. Todd Gurley, he's not going to do much because they know all they're going to do is just run the football, so he's not going to do much either. Kobe Fleener, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Stop with just because they're good. Jimmy Graham did it in New Orleans. Any tight end can do it. It's not that simple. Yeah, and then on the other side, I told you guys Dom's team wasn't that great. I stick to it. Not saying Dom's team's a bump, but Dom is very, very reliant on the New Orleans offense. If they have a bad game, he's going down. He has no shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go next, and really, I picked Dom in this one with the upset. I was close. I mean, I didn't see A.J. Green only doing 3. I thought he would get a little bit better than that. Greg Olsen came through as normal. Drew Brees, I mean, I liked Drew Brees' matchup, kind of the same reason. I agreed with you earlier, and I probably that's where you're getting my agreement from, is I agreed with Eli Manning in the other matchup, because I really thought we were getting another 100-point game out of those guys, and that wasn't the case. On the other side, though, congrats to Pops. He pulled it off. I mean, if I'm Pops, I don't press the panic button. I'm still a fan of Todd Gurley. I still think he's going to turn it around. In my other leagues, I'm trying to buy him low now. So, if I'm Pops, I keep him. With the other guys, Allen Robinson, I really think the Jacksonville Jaguars will figure it out. I think it's just 2 rough weeks, but that offense is too talented and too good to be that bad. So I do think they're going to turn it around. So for Pops, and to your point, Jesus, he does have a solid bench. He's worked the waiver wire, which is unusual because we typically see this from Dom, and we're not seeing it this year as much. So, there is some concerns going forward for Dom.
Pops has done a great job. I mean, that's just tip our cap as far as what he's done with that bench.
Anthony.
I'm going to simplify it. Okay. Pops won, so I'm going to ask you two gentlemen a question. Do you bench Robinson and Jeffrey and start Diggs and Benjamin?
I wouldn't.
I'll tell you this right now. Jeffrey, I'm definitely concerned about, especially if the Jay Cutler injury is anything serious. Brian Hoyer, I'm not a big fan of. So I am definitely concerned with Jeffrey. Robinson, I kind of agree with Steve. I think they'll ultimately figure it out. But Jeffrey scares me. I will admit that situation, if Cutler's really injured, I don't know.
But, as of right now, for what they're doing, Diggs is a star. That performance Monday was just what Sunday.
He could flex Diggs, though. He could flex Diggs and take out Marvin Jones, if anything. He still has that option, too.
That's probably the best bet, but You got to keep your faith in Todd Gurley. I mean, the guy doesn't turn into a pumpkin overnight. We saw this guy in college and saw the talent that he has. It's not. I mean, their team isn't much better than it was last year. It's still the same team. It's still the same line, and he's still there.
Yeah, but did you see what he did towards the second half of last year? He was
Yeah.
these numbers that he's putting up right now was what he was doing towards the second half of last year. This is why I'm genuinely concerned about it. It's nothing against Gurley. I agree with you guys. He hasn't lost. He hasn't forgotten how to play football. It's the rest of the team that may have forgotten how to play football, not Gurley.
Right.
Just keep it simple. We'll see what happens. Congratulations to Pops. You move on to next week. See what you do.
Let's go.
All right. All right, guys. And then lastly, the game of the week. We had these two gentlemen. They were undefeated playing each other. We had Dennis Jr. playing Rich and the Boone Handler Goat Engines, and it was Rich that came out of the gate and put up a $138. My upset pick came through. Gentlemen, what do you got to say about this matchup?
Dennis left a lot of points on the bench. You look at that bench: Bernard 15, Blunt 18, Matt Jones 12. I mean, a lot. You look at that. You could say, well, he could have done this, he could have done that, but that's playing Monday morning quarterback. At the end of the day, Rich was going to win this game regardless. I mean, do I think this is sustainable? What Rich is doing? I think Benjamin can sustain it in a sense. Yes. Julio Jones, yeah, he can because he's Julio Jones, but is Decker always going to put up 18 points? No, he'll be Mr. Consistent, but definitely not Latavius Murray. Devontae Freeman, I'm a little concerned about that situation out there in Atlanta, that running back situation. So props to Rich, though. He's 2-0. He's doing his thing, putting in work.
Eric Decker's a professional wide receiver.
Preach.
He does this every year. It's 80 catches, 1,000 yards, 8 to 9 touchdowns. He's really good at what he does. He does this every single year. So he's a guy you got to play. I understand you might have a particular feeling about Julio and the hate towards him, but look, the guy's one of the best wide receivers in the league. There's no doubt about it. And having him in his lineup and then walking into a shootout with Atlanta, putting up 30 with Derek Carr after what happened last week, you got to be proud of what he's doing. Benjamin is a huge surprise. I thought he'd be top 25 wide receiver. But right now, I look at his top 10 because he's
number one right now.
Right, and what they're doing in that offense is just so simple. We run it, and we get this guy, pull you up in the end zone, score, and it's just amazing what they're doing. And if anything happens to Carr, he still has Roethlisberger. He's doing great. Willie Snead was a nice pickup. Congratulations to him. Good week. Good job.
Yeah, and for me, guys, I mean, look, this is with Dennis's team. I actually would have not made any of the changes in the lineup. So this is one of the ones where he went with his top guys, and I agree with the matchups that he picked with. I mean, Rich just had a better week, and this was something that I kind of saw. I really thought Rich would sustain it going into this week, and I like Rich's team. I'm starting to like it even more and more as they perform, because these guys, to your guys' point, we didn't see Kelvin Benjamin come back. We had concerns. He's basically gotten rid of that, and he's a true number one, and Rich has him for $1 next year, which is huge. Yep. And then, you're seeing guys on his bench. He has a Willie Snead there. He has a Coleman if something with Devontae Freeman doesn't pan out, because it looks like Coleman's, performing better.
They're splitting it, yeah. I mean, that's a 50-50 split. I agree, yeah.
Yeah,
he's done well. I agree with you. It's starting to stick, right? That roster, you look at it, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're starting to like, all right. You go, Rich. You do your thing. All right, gentlemen. So that was the recap of week 2. Well, now to week 3, the fun begins. We're going to start it off with the bottom game. I apologize, my friend, because you've been picked again.
You don't have to apologize.
But you're 0-2, New York Powers playing. Yes, that's right. Dennis, who's 1-1. But right now the projections are 97-96. It's that tight, guys.
Yep.
Favor to the Powers. My friend, who do you have in this game?
I'm gonna go with the Powers again. I'm not gonna stop picking my team. You look at the talent. At some point in time, you would have to think that it's all gonna click. Giants going against Washington. Washington's secondary is suspect, to say the least. You got Josh Norman, who refuses to travel. So Odell Beckham will be moving her all around the field. I think he's finally gonna score a couple touchdowns here. I think him and Eli, you're looking at 2 touchdowns. Eli maybe throws another one to someone else. Melvin Gordon finally has earned a spot, especially with Woodhead out for the season. He's gonna get 20 carries, and he's going against the sorry Colts defense. Antonio Brown, after what he did last week, now he's going against Philly. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to force feed him the ball. Uh, Jarvis Landry against Cleveland. Love that matchup also. Jeremy Langford, this may be his last hurrah. Who knows? Starting. I haven't decided yet whether he's going to stay in there or not. Right now I have him, but I'm deciding between him, Hearns. There may be a pickup here in free agency that I might do that also I may consider. So yeah, give me the powers on the other side. Just Dennis has tough matchups. Cam Newton against Minnesota. You've seen what that Minnesota defense is all about. Cincinnati defense, yeah, they may not be number one, but they're a pretty good defense. Buffalo, as I told Anthony earlier, Rex, whenever his job's on the line, his defense always performs just when his job is on the line. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the powers on this one.
All right, Anthony, I leave it to you. Who do you got?
This week only, give me the powers. And it's simple, and it comes down to one very simple equation. Cam Newton does cure a lot of ills, but that Minnesota defense is poison. He's not getting healed from that. I saw what they did to Aaron Rodgers. I saw what they did in week 1. They're serious, so I don't expect another 30-point week. I think Eli Manning steps it up. I think for Dennis, a big advantage he might have is Antonio Gates. They're going to start spreading that ball around, and I mean, he's still to this day, after like 80 years, Phil Rivers' number 1 target. He's going to fall in love with him. I think Doug Baldwin finally steps it up this week. I think Randall Cobb against Detroit, they try to do a few different things, but I just don't feel it's enough. I think Antonio Brown might be a little embarrassed by last week. He's facing that Philly defense. I think he could do some things. Hopefully Gronk is healthy. If he is, it's really going to help, especially with a new rookie quarterback back there, Jacoby Brissett, right? Jarvis Landry, he's just great. He need to get in the end zone more, but he's just great. And I think the advantage is working the Powers' favor this week, and they need to get off the schneid. So, yeah, I'm going with the Powers.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry, but I cannot.
Mr. Hater.
I'm going with Dennis here. Cam Newton's a bad man, and I get it. That Minnesota defense is vaunting, but they're not as good as the Denver Broncos defense, and you saw what Cam Newton did against that defense. So, with that being said, I think he is going to go berserk. I disagree with the Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, I get it. Buffalo's a good defense, but that offense is clicking, and they're going to do the same thing. Larry plays in the slot. Larry gets catches. He's going to put up points. Antonio Gates, to what you gentlemen have said, is also going to do well against that Colts because the Colts can't stop a nosebleed right now. So he's going to get points there. Now, on the other side, you're right. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout by any means, by any stretch, because I do believe in the Melvin Gordon train. And especially now that he's going to get touches, he's going to run all over Indy. So I do agree. I think he's going to be there. Antonio Brown will continue to be Antonio Brown. Odell Beckham, I agree. He's going to turn it around. My concern is Gronk with the rookie quarterback. What is he exactly going to do? Now, I know it's not 100%. You got Garoppolo is a maybe still, from what I'm understanding. Mm-hmm. But that's a huge question mark to me. And that, to me right now, that's the game-deciding factor is Rob. If he plays, what's the extent to what he plays? Because we typically see guys come back, and it takes them a game. They'll put up maybe 4 points, and then you see him blow up. So that's my concern with the Powers. That's why I'm going with Dennis right now.
And I agree with you. I don't think he's going to play this week. I really don't. I think they're going to bench him. Give him another week off.
We shall see what happens. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. The next game we have, we're going to pick mine. Man Up Gurley versus the Tampa's Empire. These are two teams, one coming off a win, one coming off a loss. Right now, the projections favor Pops. 104-98. Gentlemen, who do you have and why?
I'll go ahead. I guess I'll go again. I'm going to go with Empire on this one. I just look at the matchups. I love Andrew Luck against San Diego. That's going to be a shootout. I don't like Eddie Lacy at all against Detroit, but I think Des Bryant's going to do well against Chicago. Amari Cooper's going to do well against Tennessee. Dwayne Allen will do well also. Ty should get a couple here. Mike Evans. On the other side, Aaron Rodgers against Detroit. Detroit's a pretty good defense. Ezekiel Elliott, like I said, I think he's going to be splitting time now with Alfred Moore, so that concerns me. Alshon Jeffrey, I don't expect Cutler to play. I mean, he tore ligaments in his thumb, so I really don't think he's going to play. I don't like Kobe Fleener. So give me the Empire on this one, and I think this one's going to be the Empire by about maybe 7 to 10 points.
All right. Anthony.
Let me get man up Gurley for the win. I think when you have the best quarterback in the league, he's not going to have another week like that. The Detroit defense they're good, but Ezekiel Andrews is hurt, and that's the key to their pass rush. If he's not rushing the passer, and I remember last year he throws up that Hail Mary, and he had a great game, and I don't expect any different this game. I think this is a game, for Ezekiel Elliott that the Cowboys have to learn to trust him. That Chicago defense is really, really banged up, and they still have to protect their rookie quarterback. And you're going to see Alfred Moore get some touches, sure, but I don't think he's going to, eclipse Ezekiel Elliott. It's just the guy's too talented.
He just needs to not fumble the ball. That's it.
Right. Alfred Moore is a professional NFL running back. He hits the hole. He does his job. But what makes Ezekiel Elliott special is that he's learning to be that, but his talent is there. It's special, and that's why everyone's going to know Goo Goo Gaga over him in the draft. This is the week I really hope and pray that Allen Robinson turns it around. He is entirely too talented to be putting up single-digit games like this. Mark Ingram should have a field day against Atlanta. That defense is just terrible. We've all seen it. Again, I don't trust Kobe Fleener, but on the opposite side, Empire, again, having luck against San Diego is going to be an absolute shootout, but I think that kind of cancels each other out between him and Rodgers. I think Elliott in that matchup over Lacy is a big, big thing in his favor. Des Bryant, he got on track last week. He didn't score, but I think 8 for 101, that's really good. Dwayne Allen's okay, but what you're hoping for is that, if you're going to start Luck, you're going to start Allen and Hilton.
But he's too reliant on the Colts. Yeah, he's too reliant on the Colts. You can't have 3 guys from one team. That's so risky. That's the one thing I'll agree with you, Anthony, on.
It is. No, you're absolutely right, gentlemen. And I was just going to say that. My game is literally going to rely on the Colts. But I am confident, and I'm picking myself, of course, because the Colts are pissed off. The Oakland Raiders are pissed off. The Tampa Bay Bucks are pissed off. These are teams that won week 1 or lost 2 straight weeks, and they're in dire straits, and they're going to blow it out of the park. I am quoting it today. Indianapolis is going to go berserk because they have to catch up. They're in a very tough division with the Texans, and they have to play catch up. And Andrew Luck is too talented. Granted that he got restricted. Denver is a fantastic defense, but I'm sorry. San Diego is not there, and they're getting them again at home. They are going to light up the scoreboards. Honestly, on the other side, I mean, Pops, yes, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he'll maybe be there because they have the potential of blowing up in that game, so I agree with you guys on that. But Allen Robinson against Baltimore, I don't know. And then Alshon Jeffries alone, I don't know, to your point, with a quarterback situation. Kobe Fleener, I haven't seen anything from that dude. And then, I mean, he's really reliant on Travis Benjamin to put up those mad numbers. You know what I mean? So
that's why
honestly, I have myself, and I think this is a 10-plus point differential in the win because I think everybody's going to blow up.
Now. Don't get cocky. You're going to
Not getting cocky. I'm just saying we've seen it time and time again when the Colts are down 0-2, they go berserk. And I'm telling you, this week, they will go berserk.
All right, next game.
All right, so the next game that we have, this is a good one. A slightly punty vibe. Anthony's team playing the Dream Killers, who's also 1-1. Projections right now, not looking good for the Dream Killers. They have a slightly punty vibe, 111-88. Anthony, this was your game. I'm going to start off with you. Who do you got in this one and why?
I'm picking myself, and there's a very simple reason. I like the Dream Killers. I like Lewis as a person. Terrific guy, nice house, beautiful wife, fantastic, great. But I don't trust Russell Wilson as a quarterback. Like, I don't know what happened last week, but we discussed it the last show. That line is going to get him killed. And I know they have issues with the Rams, and San Fran shouldn't be a problem, but until I actually see him healthy and doing Russell Wilson things, I can't really trust it. D'Angelo Williams has been doing great. Brandon Marshall, again, I don't believe that guy is from this planet, because the way his leg bent like that and somehow they said, oh, it's just a sprain, he's a Martian. We're cool with that. Delaney Walker's a good matchup. He's going to sub out Doug Martin for somebody else because I know he's not healthy. Now, good matchups, solid team, think he'll do fine. Now, I don't like Buffalo's defense. They've been lit up the first couple games, and I've got Carson Palmer and David Johnson going against him. New England's a tough defense. They always are going to scheme properly, but DeAndre Hopkins is who he is, and he'll get his. Jordy Nelson's still trying to knock off the rust. Jordan Reed against those linebackers and against the Giants, it should have worked out well. Matt Forte, it just, I didn't expect this from him, but he's doing great. DeMarco Murray, I didn't expect this from him either, but he's doing great. And that defense, I just got to pick me. And I'm not even being vain. I just think I have a better team and a better chance this week.
You're not being vain at all. You have the better team. I completely understand that. Unfortunately, Anthony, this is not hate at all. I've said it from the beginning. I think your team is the best, most talented team in the league. I am actually going to go with the upset on this one. I am going with Lewis. Reason why I'm going with that, Anthony, I'm sticking to what I said to you earlier, where I think the Buffalo defense is going to play good because Rex Ryan's job is on the line. Is this something that's going to happen all year? No, but this is always what happens. He did it with the Jets so many times. So I think that the Cardinals are going to struggle. They will win, but I think they're going to struggle. On the other side, I think Russell Wilson does have a pretty nice bounce back game, but D'Angelo Williams is going to, I think, do great things. I think Jordan Matthews, he had a couple of bad drops on Monday night. He's not going to have those drops again. So I actually, because of the matchups, I don't think Jordan Reed is going to explode against the Giants' much improved defense. Jordy Nelson against Detroit, I told you I think Detroit's defense is decent. And yeah, I'm actually going to go with the upset again, Anthony. As you know, I've said it before, you have the best team in the league. It's just the matchups this week. I'm going with Lewis.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry, my friend. I this is another one I cannot agree with you. This is so in favor of a slightly punty vibe, and on multiple levels. I have said, and I've quoted this not only on the show, but I've talked to you, Jesus, about Russell Wilson and my dislike for Russell Wilson. And I'm sorry. I mean, I get it. The projection's giving him 23, and it's San Francisco, and he should, by all means, get every single one of those 23. But I just don't trust him. I don't. The only guy on this roster that I can honestly see blowing up next week is D'Angelo Williams, sadly enough. Because everybody else is either going to be beat by Anthony's matchups. So DeAndre Hopkins versus Brandon Marshall, Hopkins. Nelson versus Jordan Matthews, Nelson. Reed versus Delaney Walker, Reed. Forte versus Doug Martin, who, he got injured, and, I mean, yeah, he could come back, but I don't think he's going to do anything. So, yeah, he'll sub somebody else, but I'm sorry. DeMarco Murray against Oakland, DeMarco Murray, they give the guy the ball near the red zone. So I'm sorry. And then you get the Cardinals D against Buffalo. That D, it scores points. I mean, they score points. I don't understand how you're doing the upset. I really don't, and I get it. I get that you're banking on Buffalo, but I'm sorry. I gotta go with it.
So wait, let me get this straight. You first say you don't get it how I'm picking it, then you follow within the same sentence to say I get it. I get it. You explain it.
No, I'm trying to get it.
You either get it or you don't get it. You
can't have both. Get it. I don't get why you're picking against it.
I think I explained it pretty clearly. I think I explained it. I overrated the Buffalo defense this week. We'll see if I'm right. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, nothing new.
Oh my goodness. I can't with you anymore.
Let's continue.
All right, guys. The last game, the game of the week. Rich's team, 2-0, looking good. Playing Dom's team, who's 1-1. Projections right now are very close. It is actually tied 98-98 even money. I'm going to kick it off because I haven't started one of these lately. I got to go with Rich. I'm a believer in Rich's team. I mean, Rich, looking at it, he's got Julio Jones against New Orleans. He's got Decker, who's been looking good. Now, KC's a good defense. And Brandon Cooks on the other side, I think, is going to beat Decker. I mean, it's close, but I love Kelvin Benjamin still. I mean, I still think he's going to score points. I do like Latavius Murray, and he's got some guys on the bench that he could substitute. On the other side, Christine Michael, I mean, honestly, I think the Seattle-San Fran game is going to be a close game and a low-scoring game, so I think he's out of the picture. Tajay Sharp, I mean, I don't know how I truly feel about him. I get it. He's the number one there. I think AJ Green is going to be limited very badly. I mean, we saw what this Denver defense can do. I mean, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I got to go with McPoon. Jesus, who do you have?
I'm going to go with McPoon as well. Everything you just said and more. On the other side, as far as with Dom's very reliant on the Saints. He's very reliant on them, and I'm not too sure. I think Breeze will play well, don't get me wrong, but Lamar Miller has yet to score a touchdown. He's getting a bunch of carries. I'm still waiting for him to get into that end zone. New England's known for taking away what you do best. That's why I don't think Hopkins is going to have a good game. I think Miller's going to be decent, but he's not going to be huge. AJ Green's not going to do much against Denver. Yeah, I mean, give me McPoon, and I don't think it's going to be close. There's really not much to say about this game because to me, is actually not close. I think it's going to be pretty lopsided.
I got to agree. I got to go with McPoon on this one. It's just having been against Philly, having Julio, and having right now the number one wide receiver in fantasy in Kelvin Benjamin. And I understand it's Minnesota, but I'm pretty certain he'll find a way to get into the end zone. Having Decker, again, the guy's a professional wide receiver. He does his job. He'll get you a touch. And against KC, yeah, they're a tough defense, but they haven't had their star pass rusher in Houston. Holly's been out, and if that pass rush doesn't get there, and I'm not a big Ryan Fitzpatrick guy, but if he doesn't get there with Decker and Marshall and the new guy, I don't want to mispronounce his name. He deserves more respect than that. I think no. Quincy Inu or whatever.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to disrespect the man's name. So far, I think with AJ Green, I think with Denver, it's just a bad matchup. I think a lot of his points are just going to come from Drew Brees. Minnesota will probably take Greg Olsen out of the game. Tajay Sharp might do something. I think that's good if he keeps Michael in there. But they're still trying to do their best to give like a time chip between him and Rawls. So who knows how that works? The defense should do fine, but just all the big matches themselves just favor McPoon, and I think 3-0. Here they go.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, that's it. That's our show. Those are our picks. That was our recap. As usual, Steve and I go at it. We'll find out once again who was right after this week. Best of luck, gentlemen, this week. And we will see you guys next week. Stay safe. Be safe. We out. Peace.
See you.
Peace.